Hi everyone. So we have new developments, new things that have been going on with the Chris Watts. It's the gift that keeps on giving. So now we have the Chris Watts letters, and we have both of them, which is not clear if it's been published or was leaked by Cindy Watts. So either way, these things are coming from the Watts people, from the Watts family. So I had something to say about the Chris Watts letters. There's a couple of things that I wanted to say about so far what I know about the Chris Watts letters. And one of those things that I wanted to say is that I actually said this in a forum and somebody disagreed with me. I said, now I think of Chris Watts very similar as Dominic, and I'll explain why. So, Chris Watts doesn't seem to have a sense of the torment that he is probably putting the Rusic's family through with the things he says in these letters, the details that he goes through. And yes, we want to know the truth about things that happen, and this kind of tells us more about him. And like I said, in terms of putting him closer to a Dahmer, in terms of the monstrosity, I was sick to my stomach. I kind of listened to some of the information on the Chris Watts letters. I actually read some of it at what was posted, and I forgot about it. I came home, and then everything was fresh in my mind of the details that he gave, and I felt as sick as I felt when I read the information about Dahmer creating zombies out of people, and so I'm trying to create zombies and so forth. So the reason why this was so sickening in terms of the details that Chris Watts gave is that he stated in these letters, he explained that apparently he had attempted to kill the girls initially, and it seems like he might have been so stupid to not realize that they simply passed out unless they spontaneously came back to life, which can happen as well. I guess those things can happen. So he had tried to suffocate them initially, and either the girls just simply passed out and he didn't realize that they were still alive, or they came back to life, and so they walk up from the state that he had left them in after suffocating them. So he tried to kill them twice. So to have that type of, what do you call that? I wouldn't want to call it grit, but and then the other information about him that has come up. Somebody was making videos about Chris Watts Googling information about OxyContin or oxycodone. They were both similar narcotics. It wasn't clear to me if it was OxyContin or oxycodone. And giving it to his wife more than once to try to cause her to have an abortion. And to me that sounds so similar to Dahmer putting things in these people's drinks to make them pass out, and then he could do whatever with it. So anyway, somebody feel free to disagree with me. I find him as macabre, especially when it comes to the girls. I find him as macabre as I find Dahmer. Very, very sick. Very, very sick. And then the fact of making this information public and tormenting, well, I don't know if it can be any added to the grief of this Rusic's. But terms of the oxycodone, that he also said that he'll take it to the grave. How he got it. Well, if Shanann Watts had surgery, neck surgery, and those type of surgeries are extremely painful, it wouldn't be surprising that she would have been prescribed that medication. She could have had really powerful, strong painkillers, and people don't always finish the bottle on something that is not like an antibiotic where you have to take all of it. Sometimes you have leftover somewhere. So, and some people don't dispose of that medication. They might keep it in the house in case they ever need it. If you're real big pain. Or some simply forget to get rid of it, to throw it away. People don't always throw it away. So I don't know, this is my speculation that it might not be as fantastic or, implicating other people as he's trying to make it. It's very possible that it's just oxycodone or oxycontin that Shanann Watts had in the house somewhere, probably in a safe place because of the kids. So it was mentioned that he may have talked about a bin in the garage, somewhere out of the reach of the kids. Could have been in their own medicine cabinet, but it might have been stored away. So anyway, that is my theory on that. That it might not be that difficult for him to grab a hold of oxycodone or oxycontin if Shanann Watts had ever been prescribed. It wouldn't be unusual to get strong pain medication if you had neck surgery. And she also had that automobile accident where she injured her neck. So in terms of Cindy Watts, the information that's on there, it keeps being the same thing over and over again. She is trying to clean up how other people see her. She keeps trying to be right or be the victim about things. She keeps talking poorly in certain ways about Shanann, her daughter-in-law, who was murdered by her own son. And nowhere that I know of is there any type of self-examination. Like, most parents, if their kids go wrong, they question themselves just because that's the normal thing you do. Is like, where did I go wrong? There isn't a drop of self-examination, of even feeling bad that she may have had influenced in any way this outcome with the fights and the quibbling and these other things with Shanann. So, and then this whole thing about the engagement ring, it's possible that if she used to be that inquisitive with Chris, as Chris said in the letters where his mom used to ask him about his thoughts, she wanted to know his thoughts as a teenager. Not like, what do you think about this, but she wanted to know what his thoughts were, what was things in his mind, every thought he had. So it's very possible that she might have been the one to ask him how much he spent on the ring. And then she went on and on about how expensive an engagement ring is. And of course, she probably didn't think any woman that his son would be engaged to was worth, especially Shanann, was worth spending, what was it, $12,000 on a ring? Yeah, it may seem excessive, like for real rich people, but some people do that. They invest a great deal on an engagement ring, and then little by little they pay it off. That just happens. So people want to invest that much on that type of jewelry. So the whole thing about her going on and on about the ring, how much she spent, I mean, she didn't sound like she even congratulated him because she was so preoccupied on the amount of money he spent on the ring. Needless to say, just as I was observing another video on this, the same thought that I had was, well, it's none of her business. This is a grown man, and he makes his own decision. Going back to the same thing, infantilizing your children, which is an aspect, something that has been said about narcissistic parents, where your kids never grow up to make their own adult decisions in your mind, in the mind of the narcissistic parent. Your kid is never wise enough to make his own decisions, or for you to respect those decisions your child makes. So yeah, those two things have come up is from the Watts end. And some people were saying, well, Cindy Watts has a right to tell her side of the story. Well, you have a right to say anything, but consideration is always something that a narcissist might not have. Consideration for others. Consideration. I mean, she doesn't even explain the grief. My child would have done something like this, I myself would apologize to the family for what my grown-up son had done. Because sometimes that's what you do. You feel bad. Oh my God, I can't believe my son did this. And then again, the monstrosity, the monster. I just, I'll go back to this thing about Chris Watts suffocating the girls twice, both girls twice, once in the house. And so what he wrote, what he explained was that then he took them to the oil field, and the reason he took them, put them in the tanks, was to make sure they didn't wake up again. That's how monstrous that is. If they were still alive, he was putting them in an oil tank so that they would drown. This is like if you were drowning rats. I mean, even some people get squirmish about doing this to rats. I've seen these rat traps where the rats die drowning. So to talk about your own kids as if you were doing something similar. And then he said that something horrible happened at NK's house. There's an ambulance going by. I have to pull over. And that he wouldn't talk about it. I keep thinking that she put him in tremendous amount of pressure, and perhaps not in so many words, pressured him about all these firsts. Shanann would have the boy, and she wanted to be the one to give him the boy so that they would have one first. She would be the first to give him a boy. And everything was the first, and who's first, and who's more important, and who comes, who gets to have more attention. It's just mind-boggling, and it makes you wonder about the character of that person, and how much of a hard time she may have given in the short amount of time that they had this explosive, no pun intended. Yeah, he explained that he wasn't intending to kill himself. I think that he was going to burn those bodies, and then people showed up, and he may have not wanted to commit suicide, so he ran out of time. Also, the people showed up at where the oil tanks are. He wasn't expecting. He was telling people that they didn't need to come, but they showed up anyway, and then he couldn't do more. So he ran out of time. That was the thing, completely running out of time. And the interesting thing about that video on House of Horrors, I think it was the one that came up on when the neighbor was trying to show the surveillance camera video, is that there is an hourglass, and it's running out of sand, it's running out of time. And that's what happened to, I believe, happened to Chris Watts. He ran out of time. So very macabre, just like that. So whole video was very macabre in so many ways. There's a woman that is in a shallow grave, and she's in a fetal position. That's not in the usual way people are buried. And in a way, Shanann was somewhat in a fetal position. Her knees were to her chest. She was face down, not sideways, but she was somewhat in a fetal position in a shallow grave as well. So it's very strange how that whole video commercial had so many details like that black heart. And I think that's what the murderer of these little kids and wife and unborn child had, a black heart. No matter how much passion he might have had for this other woman, he had a black heart, because you have to have a black heart to do something like that. So the commercial that came up during that, when the neighbor was showing the surveilling video, shows, let me see if I remember correctly, it shows a fetus. There's a fetus, and then there's the outline. I thought it was an outline of a uterus. You can see it probably as an outline of a uterus, but then it's actually an hourglass, and then again the sands are running out, like as if you're running out of time. And then there's a black heart hanging from a certain place, and then there is that black oily substance, and there's skulls melting in it, similar to what you would think about these, you know, the skull is the symbol of death, and the girls were put in oil tanks. And then there is that woman laying on a shallow grave in a fetal position. She's kind of facing her own skeleton, which makes you think of Shanann Watts. And the fetus, of course, makes you think of Nico. So it's just too symbolic. It's too symbolic. It's almost as if angels were coming through their screen and were using this as to convey what had gone on, what had happened. Yeah, Chris went sees the fetus on the monitor, in the TV monitor, and he goes, "Oh yeah, she was pregnant." He had said it 1,000 times already that she was pregnant. It had been said tons of times. And he goes, "Oh yeah, she was pregnant." Brought it up to mind his own lack of conscience. I was going to say guilty conscience, that he killed his own unborn child. He was trying to kill that unborn child a few times already. And then there's this whole thing, going back to this song called Battery, that Chris Watts, only hours after he had killed his family, he looked up the lyrics. And not only what the lyrics were saying of the song Battery, but Battery is the name of the tanks in which he buried the girls. And the Battery's tanks is where he killed the girls, according to his redacting of what happened, and where he disposed of all the bodies, including Shanann's and Nico. So anyway, I wanted to mention those things about, first, just recapping a little bit, that I thought it was really sickening that two things, that Chris Watts was poisoning his wife with oxycodone or oxycontin. I think it might have been oxycodone, to try to, thinking that he could cause her to miscarry, to have a miscarriage, and that was very sick. I thought that was really sickening that a person could do that. That's not normal. Normal people don't do things like that. Only monsters do that. And then the fact that he's now telling us that he tried to kill his own daughters twice, suffocated them twice. They came back to life. They had passed out. And so anyway, now I don't see much difference to Dahmer. When you see Dahmer, when you see videos of him, seems like a perfectly nice guy, perfectly good guy. He said he was trying to create a zombie so that he didn't have to keep killing. But it's not because he was feeling bad about killing. It's just that the more and more he was doing these things, the more and more he was going to be caught. So it wasn't like he was going to create a zombie so he didn't have to kill people because he had remorse over it. It was that he was going to be caught eventually, which he was. And the letters by Chris Watts show very little remorse, very little. Actually none. They're very cold, speaking about, matter of fact, about these things. He doesn't really feel sorry. And he wanted to have the deal that he made with this lady is that, okay, yes, you can publish these letters, I can correspond with you, I can let you know more about my story. In exchange that, the key thing for him was that she would publish in the book his redemptive things about the Bible and that he's been transformed and converted and he is now seeing the light and that he's now saved by his conviction with God and religion and the Bible and so forth. So basically, just like Cindy Watts, it's all about image. It's about how people see him. The important thing about this, more than any information anybody could have, and then he would still leave things like, okay, I'll take that to my grave, to things, how I got the oxycodone or oxycontin, and how whatever happened, something horrible happening over in his girlfriend's house. I like to bring up again, I'm not satisfied. I'm not discarding what type of participation, I would say, maybe participation, I want to say involvement in came about all this. Even if it surprised her, which I'm not so sure, but I keep thinking she wanted him to get rid of this family because and so her wanting that, and then somehow if she kept expressing dissatisfaction and being unhappy and angry at Chris Watts for having a family and wishing that he didn't have any, all of that can drive I'm going to say an idiot like that to do what he did. But also bringing back the fact that she mentioned to the police right away, she was trying, she was trying to delete text. And I understand that some people make a point that most of us delete our text. I delete my text, but it's the timing. Like, what? It's not like, oh, when all this happened, she had already deleted all their text. My understanding is that she went back to her phone and deleted everything after the fact. So that shows that she wanted to hide whatever was in those emails now that the thing hit the fan. Not that she was just deleting emails the normal way regularly people just delete emails on a regular basis. I don't think that was the way she regularly was deleting emails and show, oh, they're gone, I didn't have to save them. I think it was more like, oh, this thing happened, I'm going to delete it now. So there's a difference. But the fact that she came up so promptly and she wasn't so forthcoming on some of the things, but she made sure to mention to the police that she'd been in that house. And so I think that if you know about anything, is that if your DNA shows up in that house, a string of hair, people, they drop, and you can see that they were combing that house with a fine-tooth comb when they were examining the carpet and so forth, carpet fibers and all that. So even a string of hair could be found, or just anything. So if you've been in a place, sometimes you will, and especially the more you spend there. And then it turned out that she'd been there twice. All of these things her being completely innocent and not being involved in the least bit on Chris Watts' decision to murder his family. I'm not so sure about that. I'm not certain. Anyway, like I said, it's the gift that keeps giving. I think that Chris Watts is never going to be completely quiet or completely silent. He seems to keep talking more and more and saying more and more things, so it may keep happening, and so is his family. The Ruseks, I want to wish them, I want to extend my most sincere condolences for what had happened. I hope they can find peace. This has been so horrendous, and they probably never imagined. They seem to love Chris, and they seem to think of him as a son, which is opposite what the Watts family did with Shanann. So anyway, this is what we see. So anyway, I like to bring up something that the reason I'm talking about Cindy Watts' letters and what I see as being more petulant and just being about her, and also just, is that, talking about sociopaths, psychopaths, and narcissistic personality disorders and so forth, and the lack of empathy, is that we don't know this thing about whether these sociopaths and psychopaths, if they are made. I never discard completely the environmental component in terms of, it seems to me very obvious that there is deficiencies, parental deficiencies in Cindy Watts. If she's that self-absorbed, that could have had an influence on how Chris turned out, with also that lack of empathy. If you're not showed empathy, if your parents don't mirror for you what it's like to have empathy, sometimes you don't develop that because your parents don't show it to you. And one more thing about Cindy Watts' letters is where she's trying to say why she was closer to her daughter, because the daughter and the mom, they talk to each other, and whether Chris was the scapegoat or not. At first I thought that Chris Watts was the golden child because he could do no wrong, and then it seemed like Jamie had rebelled. But Chris Watts actually did leave the home as soon as he could. He said he left home as soon as he turned 18. So the roles, when you look up or you read or learn about narcissistic parents in the splitting, is that sometimes you'll have, if they have, maybe they have two kids, for instance, they'll have one be the gold child and one will be the scapegoat. The scapegoat cannot do anything right, cannot do any good. anything wrong. But those roles are not always permanent. They're interchangeable. So it depends on how things go. My theory is that it's possible that Jamie might have been the scapegoat for a while until Chris Watts sort of rebelled against his mother by marrying the wife that his mother didn't like, and moving away. And I think he was disconnected from having any contact with her for at least a year, if not maybe 2. So at that time, the Goldchild probably loses that status, and the other child and becomes now the scapegoat, and the other child becomes the new status of Goldchild. And all children, usually, even if you're an adult, want to be loved by their parents. I think everybody is a very human need. That's a human need to be loved. It's a human need to be loved. It's one that we have. It's a need. It's a need. And it starts as a child. You have that need as a child, and then all children need to be loved. And if you don't get that love, parental love, you're still going to seek it as an adult. So anyway, her whole explanation on Jamie and Chris and all that is very, very peculiar as well, very interesting. Okay, so I'm almost near my destination. I wanted to just touch base on this. I hope you find this in any way helpful.